If you think growing a multi-million portfolio means earning more, think again. The real secret might be in what you stop buying. I cut out 7 purchases that most people see as signs of success, and that's when my capacity to invest and portfolio growth really started to take off. Some of these were costing me more than I realized, not just in money, but in things like freedom, health, and even happiness. And trust me, number 5 is something almost everyone in Switzerland does without thinking. Let's dive in before you spend some more money on something that may have more of a financial impact than you realize. Hi, I'm Aysha van der Peer. I'm a cross-border investment specialist in Zurich, Switzerland, with 20 years in finance and a background that spans New York, Dubai, Amsterdam, Munich, and the UK. On this channel, we dive into the financial questions that matter most to high-earning expats and anyone managing their finances across several countries. And I get messages all the time that some of you didn't realize you didn't subscribe. So if you could do me a favor and double check you're subscribed to this channel, that would be tremendously appreciated. This is the free thing that you can do if you have an interest in learning more about optimizing your finances as an expat to grow a large retirement portfolio. It also helps making sure I can keep the channel alive and continue to make the time to create these videos. So please double check if you subscribe, and thank you so much. And before we start, I want to say that I'm far from the person who is trying to save at all costs. I don't mind spending money on things that I find bring me pleasure, happiness. I don't mind spending money on my kids for their development. And I'm not the you should save every penny that you have kind of person, far from, but there are a few items that I've cut from my spending list, and so let me share them with you. The first one is about my car. So I have a car, I bought it in 2017, so it's now 8 years old, and I plan to keep it for another 2 years. And it's starting to show some signs of aging, if I could say that. But the most important for me is that I have a quality car that still is comfortable, that drives me where I want to go. And that's enough. I don't feel the need to have a brand new car smelling like new and flashy and the latest model. I'm very fine with the car that I have. Now, I would say that when I bought it, it was new, and it is a Mercedes B, so it's not a crappy car for sure. And I plan to keep it for another 2 years. And when I look for a new car, I will want a quality car again. And I'm not the kind of person to go for a Suzuki or a Daewoo or whatever. I still want to have a good car, basically. And for me, the Mercedes B is definitely a good car. And I'm gonna look for possibly a Tesla in 2 years when I feel it will be time for me to look for my new ride. But I will definitely look for one that is maybe 1 year old, so that I can shave off the price a little bit, and then I plan to keep it for a long time. And so I don't feel the need, like possibly my father does, to every 3-4 years have a new car for whatever reason. No, I'm perfectly happy with keeping my car for 10 years. It has now almost 200 kilometers. That doesn't bother me whatsoever. I'm happy to push the changing car concept further down the line, and so I can invest more in the meantime. The next thing I took off my list is having designer bags, or let's say buying designer bags like Chanel, Gucci, Vuitton, whatever you name it. And I will be transparent with you that I do have a couple of them and I still use them, but somehow having a couple of them is enough. I don't feel that I need more. I don't really use them so much, only on rare occasions. But on these occasions, I'm happy to have them. I will say that. I just don't feel the need to buy more. And quite frankly, I go pretty much everywhere with my Longchamp bags, you know, the one you can fold. And often I'm somewhere and I see the other women with like very expensive bags when I pretty much know that my financial situation is way beyond theirs. But I don't care. I feel perfectly happy with my very practical Longchamp bags. I know I have a couple of nicer bags that I've got in the past, and that's basically this. And I'm happy to save my money and invest it instead. I find it a lot more rewarding. The next thing that I cut out of my life pretty drastically is eating out for dinner. And to that, I had to say that my husband, when he was still alive, was a very big fan of eating outside. For him, eating at home for dinner was pretty much a wasted evening. He just could not fathom it. Obviously, mostly in the weekend. And I always felt that we were spending way too much money on dining out. Also, I like to spend some evenings cozy at home, and I thought it was a pity we couldn't do that. And so nowadays, I don't go out for dinner that much. And financially, obviously, that makes a huge difference. And I'm very glad I can invest that money instead, grow my portfolio. And I don't feel deprived because, again, I like to be cozy at home from time to time. And I also eat way healthier at home. And so what I do is that instead of going for dinner, I buy very high quality food, very healthy food that I enjoy at home, cozy, rather than eating out all the time. The next thing I cut out, and this is a bit more recent, and it goes along the same lines as the eating out for dinner kind of expense. It's eating out for lunch during my workday. And I spend most of my working life working in the city, like, a lot of people. And so I would eat out at lunch, whether it was takeaway or eating, on site. And this, especially in a place like Zurich, is quite expensive. Nowadays, it easily costs 30 francs or more just for having a quick lunch in the city during the workday. And now that I work primarily from home, obviously this has changed. I eat from home, very healthy, mind you, and in a more, I find, pleasant environment. And without really realizing it, I've cut that expense of eating lunch in the city all the time. And I definitely see the difference with my budget. I don't feel deprived whatsoever. I actually take that opportunity to eat a lot healthier than I did when I was eating out for lunch around the city. The next expense that I cut from my life was certain beauty and wellness treatment, like, for example, going for a facial or going for a massage. I used to do quite a lot of massages. I really like that. I mean, what's not to like? But they were partly reimbursed by my health insurance, so I kind of rationalized that it made complete sense. And I stopped doing that during COVID for obvious reasons, and I never started again. And now I put a much bigger emphasis on actually living healthy, not only with food, but also with exercise and movement. And I don't feel the need for a massage all the time. I'm happy that I've cut that expense and keep more money for growing my portfolio. Now, obviously, I still go for my hair. I still go for my nails from time to time. And so I don't want to say I cut off completely any beauty treatment or massage or whatever. But I'm being a lot more mindful of how I spend my money in these recurring beauty/wellness expenses. Another thing that I've cut from my life, which is leading to a lot of savings without feeling deprived whatsoever, is that I barely drink any alcohol anymore. And it started with probably COVID, to be honest. And then with living healthy, I did some nutrition program at some point, and I cut alcohol completely. I was never a big drinker anyway, but when I would go out, I would take a glass of wine or a cocktail. And now I don't do that anymore. And not only I save a lot of money with that, on top of that, I actually feel so much better in the evening, definitely the next day. And another part that actually kind of encouraged me in the way of not drinking alcohol when I go out is because nowadays I like to drive. And I go pretty much everywhere with the car. And I don't like the idea of, do I have too much alcohol? Is it okay if I drink one or not? And so by not drinking any, then there is no question. I can always go back with my car. And I feel a lot of freedom this way to go and come home whenever I please in the most comfortable mode of transportation. And the last big expense that I cut from my consumption is about buying very nice shoes. So you see, I used to be a fan, I'm still somehow, but I got it under control. I'm a fan of nice Ferragamo shoes. I've bought a few of them in my past life, and now I still have a couple of them that I wear from time to time on big occasions, but now I don't feel the need to spend so much money on shoes. And I think one of the big aspects is that with my change of lifestyle in general and getting older, mind you, I'm much more inclined in wearing comfortable shoes, long-lasting shoes, rather than looking very fancy with my Ferragamo high heels, which start hurting my feet maybe a little bit later than other high shoes because of the quality of Ferragamo shoes. But still, after a while in high heels, I definitely start feeling my feet. And this was somehow impacting my quality of life, the quality of the moment I would spend with my friends and family. And so now I try not to fall for it anymore. I actually don't wear them that much anymore. And I'd rather go for nice but comfortable and drastically less expensive shoes. All right, so that was my 2 cents. Now, obviously, these expenses, they fit my life and my lifestyle. And your situation and your life and your constellation and whatever you have in your life might look different. And so it's very likely that you can cut out a few things from your life that don't serve you as much as they did when you were, I don't know, somewhat younger or living some other kind of lifestyle. I hope you found this insightful and that you find some inspiration on what you can stop buying to grow your portfolio faster. And if you want more tips, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. I will create many more videos like this about the financial challenges that high-earning expats and those otherwise living in a multi-country context face. And I definitely want to share cross-border info that's available nowhere else. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.